إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm your host, Karim Abu Zaid. I'm coming live from Denver, Colorado Muslims Community Center, and I'm blessed today to be hosting Dr. Bilal Phillips, the founder of Islamic Online University. He will be joining us shortly. We prepared questions for him from previous sessions, and you will also get a chance, brothers and sisters in Islam, to ask your questions. And the way we're going to do it, inshallah, is we will have you post these questions on the comment if you're watching on Facebook, or on the chat area if you're watching on YouTube, inshallah. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we want to see if everything is going well. We want to welcome as many people as possible to the broadcast before we invite the Sheikh in, inshallah. So let's do a couple of things here before we bring in Dr. Bilal Phillips into our broadcast, inshallah. Let me first welcome the people we see on the broadcast. We have Brother Ismail, Jazakallahu khairah, he just joined us. He's number one today. Brother Abu Bakr Muhammad, Jazakallahu khair, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sumayya, wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Fazma Ibrahim, wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Abdul Qadir al-Albani, wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And we have Fayyaz Rumi, wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ayutub, wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. محسن شيرازي وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Brother Asad Muhammad وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. He's watching us from Dublin, Ireland. Sharjil وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Our sister Salwa Abdul Razak وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. فيز الرحمن باتي وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Our brother Antonio in Kuwait وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. عبد القادر عمر وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أبا زولو وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. طارق عبد الواحد وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. عبد القادر عمر وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أشرف صالح وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. كارولاينا وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Sister محمد وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. And we have صفات وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. فلا رنومي وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Sister أدان، أحمد شديد، عمر ميان، حافظ محمد إسماعيل، ناز شمس الدين، وسيم، محمد إسماعيل، بنت إقبال، عمر، إيمان إسماعيل، برادر ديدار، حسين ديدي، Nuwafi, Director of Islamic Online University, Operation USA. That's our beloved Sheikh Mutahhir Sabri. Our brother Siraj, we missed you. Yes, we know that's Mutahhir Sabri. We know who you are, Mutahhir Sabri. Welcome. And Rahim, Maurice, Kishka Omar from Bahrain. For boys, Hana Shata from Indiana, Idris from Medina, Al Munawwara, MashaAllah. Idris Booty watching from Medina. Sheikh Muhammad Hassan, our Sheikh, my cousin Muhammad Hassan. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Muhammad. Ibn Ammi Habibi, Ibn Khali Habibi. Good to hear from you. Faisal Khan. Is that our Faisal Khan? Imam Faisal Khan? Yeah. Okay. Muhammad. Our local brother Adrian. Alaykum salam, Adrian. How are you? And may Allah have mercy on your mother, brother Adrian. I heard about her death. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless her soul, turn her grave into Rawda, Jannah, Rabbil Alameen. We have our Ishaq Khan, Asif Allah, Gharib. Okay, I guess it's time to bring in the Sheikh. So we done enough. We have, mashallah, a lot of people watching us. So it's time to call the Sheikh and see if we can bring him in, inshallah. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So let's see here. I'm drinking with my right hand, everybody, so don't assume that I'm drinking with my left hand. So we're calling Dr. Bilal. Hopefully he will pick up. Meanwhile, maybe we can go some more with okay, somehow he's not picking up. Hopefully he's not ready yet, but we'll meanwhile, until we get the Sheikh on the screen, please allow me to hopefully he is online. By the way, I just want to warn you that they have an issue with the electricity where he is. And if the electricity goes off, then of course everything goes off, and that's the technology of the time. So hopefully he's in a very remote area, and hopefully he will be able to join us, inshallah. But let me see if he can pick up. I can see him active now, so hopefully he will pick up, inshallah. Okay. But meanwhile, brothers and sisters in Islam, allow me to present a couple of announcements. Colorado Muslims Community Center, Jazakumullah khairan, for those who have been trying to help us out. Inshallah, these are the ways where you can actually. We have a GoFundMe. Alhamdulillah, a lot of you have been donating to that. May Allah give you the blessing and reward you tremendously. These are other apps where you can help us out. Venmo at our cmcc.org, Cash App at our cmcc.org, and we also have info at our cmcc as a PayPal. We have also Muwahid and PayPal right here. These are mediums. Inshallah, our live broadcast will continue in Ramadan every day. We agreed that 4 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Denver, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So this way We try to catch as many people as possible. So daily broadcasts with question and answer. Right here, you can catch us on these platforms: Islam Way 71, Sheikh Karim Abu Zaid, and the Straight Path. Inshallah. There are three things which I'll continue even in Ramadan: the virtual right belief series. The way we do it is we go for, okay. I think we have the doctor here. Dr. Bilal, how you doing?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah, and yourself?
Ah, man, I miss you, my brother. I miss you, my doctor. I miss you, my teacher. I miss you, everybody. You know,
My pleasure,
I,
pleasure.
I have to say that I owe the knowledge of Tawheed to two individuals. I'm sorry, let me begin with the Arabic because this is my language. Is Muhammad Salih al Munajjid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala free him, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. And the other one is Dr. Bilal Phillips. Remember these little booklets which you did for the school, the tribes of Tawheed,
Islamic studies.
Yes, you cannot imagine. They had a lot of impact on me as I was exploring terminologies and I came across it. How are you, Dr. Bilal?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah, as fine as one can be in these times
Alhamdulillah.
where everything is relative.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So, where are your grounds now?
Well, right now I'm in Addis Ababa,
MashaAllah.
of the capital of Ethiopia, and I've been here since January. I was in Qatar before that. I was supposed to have moved on, but then flights were shut down, and
Yeah,
no going in or coming out, and actually the government here has said that they will extend their period of emergency uh, operations for 2 months. That's what they said about 2 weeks ago, and then a few days back they said it's going to be extended for 5 months.
Allahu Akbar.
So,
That's interesting.
so what it is, I guess they don't want to let the people down by telling them small numbers and then having to keep increasing like everybody else is doing. They said better just to put the big number out there, and then if we end the emergency early, everybody will be happy.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we have, mashallah, a lot of people on the broadcast, Dr. Bilal, who can hear and see you loud and clear and voice and picture, actually. And you look always handsome. I don't know where do you get that from, but you are the founder of Islamic Online University, and we know we have a lot of students. Actually, I'm aware of that because where I travel, everybody just talks highly about the program and about the university and how it is up to speed with technology. And you want to just let us know what is going on with Islamic Online University, being the founder of the institution, which benefit a lot of Muslims, especially in the U.S. I know that you have more than that across the globe.
Well, alhamdulillah, the university was born of a necessity, a technological necessity, wherein people were looking for accessibility of Islamic knowledge online. This is from the time the web came up, and there were various organizations and movements that set up shop online and were promoting material which was not really Islamic. It was distorted, um, misinformation, etc., but in the name of Islam. And people would contact me. This was from the early 2000s. They would contact me and ask me, can we take these courses in this uh, particular site or not? And I would go and check the site, and it had some good stuff, but there was other stuff there. So I even felt shy to tell people, no, don't go there, period. Because then what alternative did I have to offer them? So, I could only just tell them, well, listen, just get the fiqh. Okay, fiqh is fine. You can pick up from the fiqh there. So focus sirah. Okay, sirah is sirah. You can't really do too much with sirah, and so on and so forth. And I just tell them, well, the areas of aqidah, better you avoid these areas. There are things which are not really correct. So anyway, at that point I realized that it was necessary that something be set up. I had already set up at that point a Department of Islamic Studies in Ajman, in Preston University in Ajman, and in Ajman University. And I was teaching the head of the department.
Ajman is Saudi Arabia, or Ajman what? The country?
Ajman, the state of the United Arab Emirates, the emirate called Ajman.
Yes, yes.
Right. Yes. And I lived in the UAE for about 10 years, and was a professor in the American University of Dubai, as well as in Ajman, and teaching also in Sharqa.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, in any case, I was involved in this process of setting up departments, teaching, preparing curriculum, etc. So at that time, I did try to set up something online with my son, who was at that time studying in an institute, a degree course in IT, but his knowledge of IT was limited.
Mm-hmm.
So what we set up, it ran for about a year, and then we had to let it go. And the costs of actually setting up university online those days were extremely high. So it wasn't until 2007 that some of the tools used for online education became accessible, open source versions. And we began at that point in 2007 to set up university online. And rapidly, and also at the same time in Riyadh, Sheikh Saad al-Shithri, who was one of the leading scholars in Saudi Arabia, he set up the university online himself, which was actually in Arabic. And he asked me to set up the English side for him. So I began the process of setting up the Department for Islamic Studies online in English medium, which coincided with the Arabic.
Alhamdulillah, that's great news.
And from that, 3 years later in 2010, I launched myself the International Islamic University, or known as the Islamic Online University at that time. And that's, from then, it's history. We now have registered over 500,000 students, and alhamdulillah, we've got a full bachelor's program, master's program.
Did you hear this number, dear viewers? 500,000 students worldwide are registered in Islamic Online University. So what are you waiting for? It's your turn, inshallah. Dr. Bilal,
I must be honest, I'm not going to claim that they're all registered at this time.
Okay.
5,000 have registered,
Yeah.
started courses, dropped out,
Yeah.
because study online is what it is. There's
Understood.
a
Understood.
huge dropout rate
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
students.
I know for a fact that a lot of people like the program, and Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to give it success, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. Dr. Bilal, we are living in a very يعني special time. Enough to say it's unprecedented what we, we're experiencing. Masajid locked down, locked out, I'm sorry, or being locked up. Basically, you can't convene if you're 10 or more here in the United States, and I believe in Europe as well. Ramadan is just 5 days, away from us. A lot of Muslims are having anxiety and fear, and I always like to address the pandemic, or they call it COVID-19, as a believer. We know that we have 6 articles of faith. One of them is Al-Qadr, the belief in Al-Qadr, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew it, wrote it, willed it, and actually created it. That's mu'taqaduna in the matter. But we always get these brothers and sisters who are skeptical, or they lack the knowledge, and we say this with respect. It's okay, we all lack knowledge in certain areas. They question, did Allah bring that COVID-19 upon us? Why would Allah? And they have these series of questions. And how can you address this particular subject from the perspective of our belief in al-Qada wal-Qadar, Dr. Bilal?
Well, brother, I would say first and foremost that, as you mentioned, we have the pillar of faith, the 6th pillar known as belief in Qadar, or in destiny, the good of it and the evil of it. That this is from what Allah has written, and if one has doubt about the fact that Allah already has written this, then one's 6th pillar of faith is shattered. The belief in Qadr is so basic to the Islamic belief system that, like any other pillar, if we have doubt about Prophet Muhammad's prophethood, our faith is shattered. If we have doubt about the angels, that there are angels, our belief system is shattered. All of these pillars, the 6 pillars which we've all learned as Muslims,
Package deal.
is a package, yeah, exactly. That you break any part of it, you disbelieve in any part of it, you don't accept any part of it, then you have damaged the whole. Of course, your status is, in the end, is with Allah. We understand that, but as a basic pillar of Islam, belief that the COVID-19 virus pandemic, whatever it actually is and whatever it actually turns out to be, we'll find out later on, because there's so much, on the internet and elsewhere saying that this is all fake, it's made up, it's this and it's that, and there are doctors saying no, there's doctors saying yes, and so we're in a state of confusion for a lot of us. We're in a state of confusion, but no doubt people are dying, And there is a reality. Exactly what it is, we will know in time to come. And we are expected in times of trial to be patient.
No.
That is our act of faith. That is our, act of worship. We worship Allah through patience, And where does that patience come from? If you think that it is something that you did or people around you did and they have control over it, etc., then you won't have patience with it. You will be running here, there, and everywhere trying to, stop those people or do this or that. But if you understand that this pandemic has roots in the Lawh al-Mahfuz,
Allahu Akbar, naam,
which was written 50,000 years before creation.
Allahu Akbar.
Then this is where you find patience from, because people ask, well, how do you get patience? By believing in this, by understanding this and believing in it, then you can find peace.
No.
You can find patience with it, because you know that it was already written and there was no way of escaping it, and it is punishment, it is trial, and the Prophet ﷺ said it is also a mercy for the believers.
Alhamdulillah. عجبا لأمر المؤمن فإن أمره كله له خير. I'm amazed at the lifestyle of a believer. It's all good. Alhamdulillah. But it's easy to say. It's very difficult when you're not charged with ibadah, with, you have to elevate your iman to really experience, Dr. Bilal, the Jannatul Ard, that you can overcome these difficulties. Let me jump into another, I went over again and again to that author of Umar when he was in Syria, in Sham, and that's the 18 years after Hijrah, and the plague of Amwas took place, and the question came. Amwas is a town which was far away from the place where he was. So the question came, should I go and visit the Muslims there or not? I read that author carefully, and I found out that Umar actually gathered Al-Ansar, and he asked them, and they said, we don't know, we don't have any reference to. Then he gathered the Muhajirin, then he said no, they said we don't have anything, So basically he's consulting with the Muslim Ummah regarding what to do about entering or exiting and so forth. And at the end, Allah has guided him, and we know Umar is muhaddath based on the hadith, and he said, okay, you know what, I'm going back to Medina, I'm not going to go. So one of the people asked him, are you running away from Qadarullah? Are you fleeing from Qadarullah? And he answered by saying, I'm fleeing from Qadarullah to Qadarillah. And subhanallah, Abdurrahman ibn Auf came, and this portion of the Athar in al-Bukhari, that he said, I actually heard the Prophet ﷺ saying that if you hear of a plague in a town, don't enter, and if you're there, don't exit. I think the point of reference that Umar gathering all these Muslims to take a simple decision. Now, Sheikh, with all these unprecedented, we have these fatwas right and left, and every Imam, every Sheikh runs his own. We're confused. We came up with a virtual Jumu'ah, meaning that the Imam can deliver a khutbah by himself, only with a mu'adhin, and the people can follow him somewhere else. Then we came up with the idea of what's it called? You can observe Jumu'ah with your family at home. Basically, I'm throwing all of this at you at one time. So the stage is yours now. I'm done. I rest my case.
Well, it's not surprising that people are confused, and we're hearing different fatwas, rulings in different parts of America, in different parts of the world, etc. It's not surprising because, as you said, this is something new, something which Muslims had not experienced before on a global scale. There were plagues, as you mentioned, in the time of Umar, radiallahu anhu, even back in the time of the Prophet ﷺ himself, he himself said that regarding plagues, he gave us some general advice, in a hadith narrated by Aisha, in which he said, ليس من رجل يقع الطاعون فيمكث في بيته صابرا محتسبا يعلم أنه لا يصيبه إلا ما كتب الله له إلا كان له مثل أجر الشهيد. That there is no human who experiences the plague, but he remains in his home patiently expecting his reward from Allah, knowing that nothing would befall him except what Allah had already written for him. And for him, if he remains patient, he would get the reward of a martyr. This is what the Prophet ﷺ had said.
Allahu Akbar.
He would get the reward of a martyr. So this idea of the ta'un, the plague striking and infecting, decimating, this existed prior to the time of the Prophet ﷺ, it existed during his time, it existed after his time, and it will continue to exist until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Because it is a part of Allah's qadr that He has destined it in different areas, and people will have to deal with it according to their circumstances. Now, when people make different fatwas, the best thing you can do as an individual with limited knowledge is to follow those who you trust, those with knowledge, and if they were wrong in their fatwas, then Allah will give them one reward. If they were correct, then Allah gives them two. So the main thing is that we as a community, a jama'ah, practice the deen together. Not necessarily physically together, but we have agreed on and accepted in our given area, what the community will follow, and people will be able to practice the deen with a sense of comfort and assurance, and not be worried and doubtful and constantly questioning and maybe declaring some to be wrong and mistaken and lying and this, that. No. So the confusion is lifted from us. Allah has put amongst us those of knowledge. We try to follow them as best we can. However,
I love your approach, Dr. Bilal, and I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but that concept of togetherness must be on the basis of evidence. So can we because togetherness meaning masses, and I mean, take for example the virtual Jumu'ah that somebody standing in the pulpit and the people at home scattered around the masjid, spread around the masjid in their locality, in their home, in their bedroom, or in their living room. What evidence do you find in the Sunnah for such a tradition when the Prophet ﷺ did not even have a Wi-Fi or internet or even loudspeakers? I mean, it's so. Where do you base that on? That's the thing. I mean, but togetherness is wonderful and community is wonderful, but at the end, I mean, I'm talking to my teacher, you know, I'm saying this respectfully. What is your take on this? You know?
Well, as I said, in the end, I mean, it's just like the issue of the Eid. Whether Eid is cited in Mecca, is that good for the world, or Eid is cited in each locale? This has been going on, and we've been living with this. What did the leading scholars, when they're asking, what should you do? What should we do? What was their response? They said, whatever the majority of people are doing in your area, you go along with them. Because there is evidence to some degree of regional sighting, and there is evidence in another degree or to another degree of global sighting. There's evidence that could be used for both. So rather than the local community split up amongst themselves, some going one way, some going the other way, they said it's better. This is fatwa of Sheikh bin Baz, himself.
Nah.
That you follow the opinion of the majority. So it is in that same spirit where we're dealing with something that is unprecedented. As you said, there was no internet, there was no streaming, there was no Zoom, there was no Skype,
Yeah.
So this was not an issue to be discussed. But we do know that, from the rulings of the scholars regarding, for example, praying in Mecca or praying in Medina, where people were following the Imam in the masjid, but they were inside of their hotels, and they were asking leading scholars in Arabia, etc., asking, is that okay? They told them no. That distance now made it unacceptable. Because otherwise, if they had said, okay, you could do that, then we could stay in America, or myself in Addis Ababa or wherever, and we could follow the Imam in Mecca.
You
And we pray hard.
you can perform Hajj too. You can do your Hajj and Tawaf virtually. You don't have to pay $10,000 anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we know there are limitations, to be practical. Okay, so what you do in your given community, we would say that if you and your neighbor, because they're saying, okay, you shouldn't gather if you're more than 25. You're in an area where they say more than 25 shouldn't gather together. Okay, so you and your neighbors, Muslims in the neighborhood there, together you make up around 25. Then okay, you can choose one of the houses and make your Jummah there. And another group similar can do likewise elsewhere. So we can make some, modifications based on the requirements. In terms of the Eid, which is going to be coming up, what do we do at that time? Well, again, either you can gather in smaller gatherings if it's allowed at that time and do it, or Eid is not an obligation anyway. So though it has become probably the biggest annual event in the life of the Muslim, it's not an obligatory prayer, and people may not pray all year long, and they don't fast Ramadan, but for Eid, they're going to be there for Eid.
Yes.
And again, this is a misunderstanding of the.
Dr. Bilal, we kind of lost you here, so let me see if we can take the Sheikh again. We kind of lost the Sheikh, but let me see if we can get him back on live. Okay, we should call him again, inshallah. Okay, let me see here. Okay, we got you back, alhamdulillah. We're making dua that the electricity. I already told the viewers that there is a chance out there, and everybody's making dua that the electricity doesn't go off.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Inshallah,
Alhamdulillah.
okay. I think you made your case obvious and clear. Unity is a key, yes, for the Muslims, especially at these times, but we have to be also, considerate of the evidence, and alhamdulillah. Sheikh, I think with the COVID-19 bringing in financial difficulty on some Muslims here in the U.S., the government is offering certain packages. But if you really look into these packages, and if you're not careful, is a setup for usury. Because the condition out there that if you do not basically proceed with the funds in a certain way, or if you violate, then you're agreeing to pay interest. Meanwhile, the concept of necessity is there. Alhamdulillah, we started the Minhal Academy ourselves this year. Inshallah, we're building up to the Islamic Online University. And we have teachers that we have to take care of. What should we do? Is it justified to go into a contract which may drag you into usury to meet the darura, the necessity which is out there, and it's a reality? I would love to hear your take on this, Sheikh.
Well, to be honest, I didn't hear fully what you were saying. I know we did discuss this to some degree earlier. But in general, signing a contract of interest, we know is haram. And only if we're in a situation where there is no other alternative, and what you are trying to achieve through this contract, or this agreement, is a necessity, vital for the survival of an individual or the community, then an excuse can be argued. But in general, the reality is that these community needs can be met to a large degree by the members of the community itself. But unfortunately, Muslims are not ready to make the sacrifice to provide these services which the community itself needs. So, we're caught, as they say, between a rock and a hard place. But the blame if any blame comes because of the necessity, it falls on the shoulders of those who had the means to protect the community from this harm, but they chose not to.
Dr. Bilal, the question also comes in handy. A lot of people are not working, they are staying at home. And especially Muslims, a lot of them are like that, who drive cabs and basically they earn their daily income if they go out working. They don't have a scheduled career where, things, benefits can kick off in case of an emergency like that. And a lot of Muslims are used to pay their zakatul mal during the month of Ramadan, and a lot of them do it the night of the 27th. That's the tradition here in the West. Do you think it's advisable to pay it early to meet the needs of Muslims and so forth in the community? Do you think this is something that is permissible in Islam?
Well, I would believe that if we have to choose between signing contracts of interest and paying zakah early, and of course, we're talking about, we have to be clear on zakatul mal and zakatul fitr.
No.
Right? I mean, zakatul fitr, we know it can be done earlier by some days, or some say a week or whatever. So that's one thing. But and of the issue of whether it has to be done in food, etc., or could be done in money. See, this is a case now where giving it in money would be of more benefit, to people in this situation. Otherwise, buying necessary food stock which they need, etc., it can be done that way. This is definitely, a good option. But in the case of zakatul mal, giving it early, I believe that is quite legitimate. To give it earlier than the time. What is not good is giving it later than when you should be giving it.
Yes, Jazakallah khairan. Sheikh, one last question, and then I'm going to have to go through a list of questions here. Hopefully we can fulfill everybody's, inshallah. But I did get that phone call from somebody, or that question from somebody earlier. His name is Ashraf, and I promised to present that question to you because of the fact that you're a revert as well, and he recently got married to a Canadian, which you are a Canadian citizen. I remember that, and her family are in total denial of her, and they are mistreating everybody. Now the brother is basically puzzled because he doesn't want his wife to boycott her family, which is not the right thing to do in spite of the bad treatment. Yet he's afraid that they may influence his kids. They may teach their kids stuff that he does not agree with. So what advice can you give to those couples, Dr. Bilal? Jazakumullah khairan.
Well, in a situation like this, I would advise the couple to visit for short periods of time, where the damage that could be done to the children would be minimized. So rather than visit them once a month and spend a long time there, visit them twice a month and spend a short time there. So, the shorter the time, the less opportunity for their harm to reach the children. And at the same time, he would be fulfilling the maintaining family ties. And, if they're living relatively close by, then, to visit them even once a week, that shows a certain amount of care and concern, which they would look at, oh man, look how often they're coming to visit, this is a nice guy, look how he's coming and bringing our daughter back, and, so what really his intention is to minimize, keep the visit even shorter, he'll come over for just half an hour and he's gone.
Yeah.
So in that way, he minimizes the possible harm, that could come from them.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Okay, let me, one last thing here before we go on into our, an advice. First of all, to Imams like me. I'm separated from my community physically because I'm staying at home. Here they are, they are used to these khutbahs, to these talks in the masjid, the reminders about Ramadan and the significance of Ramadan. What advice do you have for Imams in like myself, who are disconnected physically with their communities, and they are supposed to raise awareness regarding the pillar of fasting? That's one pillar which comes once a year, and the significance of this, and what can we do that is to the Imams, and then to the Muslims who will be locked at home? Can they still observe a decent, can they still have a decent experience this year? Because Ramadan is a time when, Iman goes up a little bit, and that's actually the charge for maybe 2-3 months afterwards. And if we miss in that, that's very risky. So go ahead, Sheikh, inshallah.
Well, it is a challenge, no doubt. I mean, as an Imam, to maintain contact with the community. But alhamdulillah, were this 50 years ago, we would be lost. It has come at this time when we have the internet.
Yeah, subhanallah.
We can still have phones that, before, people didn't have, access to even mobile phones, landlines. So there were so many limitations that were around 50 years ago or 100 years ago that, we have to say, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Allah has brought this at a time when we have alternatives. So this is the internet. Here we are. You have regular gatherings for your community. I mean, on Yom al-Jum'ah, okay, you can't do the Jum'ah, but okay, you can still meet online, at a particular time, have the sisters arrange meetings online for the sisters, general community activities. Those who are teachers, for example, who know how to set up, quizzes and games for the young, etc. There is so much that can be done. There is so much that can be done today that, we are not cut off really from the community. Maybe physically, yes, we can't make that direct contact as easily, etc. But to a large degree, the internet has made it possible for us to be even more in contact with the community. So we can reach out to them, set schedules, to meet with the youth and meet with the small kids and with the elders and, visiting the family members. It's all there. I would say that there is no problem for the Imam. He just has to be creative. If he's used to sitting in the masjid and waiting for everybody to come to him. Now this is a problem. Okay, now he has to get up and go out and reach out. So that's for that type of, imam. This is a bit
Progressive
of
Imam. Progressive Imam.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The proactive Imam is nothing. It's just a new way, and maybe after this is over, he's going to keep these things in place. Some of these things which allowed him to reach the community on a level that he wasn't able to before. So this becomes the mercy for the believers.
Allahu Akbar.
There is this thought, a mercy for the believers.
Okay, the second part here is the community, but I really want to address one segment of the community, reverts. These are brothers and sisters who probably accepted Islam. Maybe I have a community member here, his name is Jim, who accepted Islam a week ago. Now Ramadan, what is he going to do? He doesn't even know enough Quran to lead. He doesn't even know how to pray Taraweeh, or what is Taraweeh. Actually, the word maybe doesn't even mean anything to him. What advice can you offer to these brothers and sisters whom we love dearly, and we ask Allah to grant them steadfastness, Ya Rabb al-Alameen? What can they do in Ramadan to make up for missing Taraweeh and reciting the Quran and all of this, which they are still working on?
Well, I would say that, this is where, the community has to reach out to them. They have to find alternatives. One of the principles that, I advised in a series that I created for new Muslims called The First Day. I don't know if you've seen the series. The First Week.
It's available on YouTube, Sheikh?
Yes, it is on the Islamic Online University free diploma courses.
Okay.
It is specifically for new Muslims. But basically it talks about what the person needs on the very first day of their Islam. In the first course or book, it's called The First Day. That's what it addresses, and it focuses on and discusses each and every important element of that early stage of Islam. Then the first week, after they've gotten their feet wet, how to now start to build a foundation. So a program like that, and it was made for communities like yours and others, where there are new Muslims coming in, to help them. We did try to distribute it on a large scale globally, but unfortunately, the numbers were sent out, but not in the kind of quantities that we really wanted. And we wanted it to be available in every Islamic center, because it was something thought out by du'at. I gathered together people who were involved in calling people to Islam and teaching those who first came into Islam. And we discussed out what are the critical points that new Muslim needs to know on the first day of his Islam, in case he walks out of the masjid and you never see him again. There is certain information that he needs to have to make sure that he has this. So for a new Muslim within your community, you all have to reach out, because he doesn't know what he needs to know.
Jazakallah,
So
Dr. Bilal.
its effort has to come from the community. They know what he needs to know. I mean, what needs to be done is it needs to be given, in an organized way. Not every, Ahmed, Khalid, and Tariq, telling him, you need to do this. The other one says, no, you need to do that. This one says, you need to do this and this and that. And then he's just, confused. No, it has to be done in an organized, systematic way.
Jazakallah khair.
So this program, you can utilize this to help, and different members of the community can participate and help in the new Muslim
We have Islamic
learning what he.
We have Islamic Online University, Dr. Bilal, on the screen. Just a reminder, it is www.iou dot
edu.
So IOU, Islamic Online University dot edu, and if you go into
No,
the main
dot, hold on, dot edu dot gm. Edu is for education.
okay,
GM is for Gambia, where the headquarters is.
excellent,
So
Gambia,
it's IOU dot edu dot gm.
excellent, and there is courses which are free. If you go into the button free diploma, and
The
there,
free campus,
brothers and
yeah.
sisters in Islam, for Muslims who are reverts, please, you need this now. There is a first day, first week instructions on. Okay, the brother, I guess, may Allah reward you, our admin here. He just put the website on the screen for you. So now you see it right there on the screen, brothers and sisters in Islam. You go there, free diplomas, please, and start learning, inshallah. Sheikh Bilal, I'm sorry, Dr. Bilal, we have these brothers which really we share their feelings. We feel this way. I feel that closing down our masajid is not, that is wrong, and you're closing down the masjid, the house of Allah. But meanwhile, this is a law now in America that 10 or more cannot congregate, and if we violate that, because there is a lot of talk against Imams in the US because they decided to do that. Darut Tawheed is locked down. We don't have anything. A lot of people say, look at the Sheikh. Now, if we violate that, number one, it's against the law. And quite frankly, we live in a larger non-Muslim community, and a non-Muslim can get infected from a Muslim who has the COVID-19. So actually our harm is not going to be only limited to our congregation, rather it may be transferred to our non-Muslim community at large. So what advice do you give to the brothers who are very passionate about, they have that zeal which can be elevated to extremism, and also to Imams handling these situations? Because a lot of Imams been complaining to me about their community members going at them because they decided to make that call that masajid are to be locked down because of the law and the harm that may bring to the larger community.
Well, the point is that Allah, in His mercy, He made, as the Prophet ﷺ said, جُعِلَتْ لِيَ الْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا.
Beautiful.
The whole earth is a masjid and a means of purification. This the Prophet ﷺ said 1,400 years ago. So it means that Muslims are able to pray in virtually any circumstance. And that is the ease that is in the religion that you may be hard pressed to find in any of the other religions around the world, that have rules and systems. Islam has provided a means to fulfill its requirements under virtually all circumstances. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, on some occasions, he told people to pray in their homes. When the rain was excessive in Medina, people stayed home and prayed at home. When the sun was extremely hot in the summer, reaching 50 degrees, 55 degrees, whatever, that people could, would have great difficulty, he had them pray in their homes. So if in the Prophet ﷺ's own time he had people pray at home, then who are we to insist in our time when it is not a question of difficulty in getting to the masjid, but the question of being harmed by coming to the masjid? When the Prophet ﷺ, had already said, in another hadith in Musnad Ahmed, a well-known hadith, in which he said, لا تديموا النظرة إلى المجذمين وإذا كلمتموهم فليكن بينكم وبينهم قيد رمح. That we shouldn't stare at those who have leprosy, diseases which cause their bodies to be distorted, etc. And if we speak to them, we should have between ourselves and them the distance of a spear, which is around 2 meters. So, even from 1,400 years ago, social distancing was something which the Prophet ﷺ recommended strongly, where there is fear of contagion. Where there is fear of contagion. Of course, this is the case where somebody is obviously sick.
Right.
But again, people could argue, even if, you are sick with COVID, whatever, you feel you want to go and pray in the masjid, and people should put their trust in Allah, and please, the Prophet ﷺ said, اعقلها وتوكل.
Yes.
Tie your camel and then trust in Allah. So if He's given us enough in the Sunnah for us to understand that, we do have priorities, preservation of human life and limb, that we have to give priorities when there is potential harm to the community. And praying at home does not stop one from prayer. One can still pray at home, and inshallah the reward will be the same.
Ameen.
If you have niyyah to pray in the masjid, but the masjid has been closed and you have to pray at home, then you will get the reward of praying in the masjid.
Yes.
Because amal amal bin niyyat.
Yeah.
So we don't have to make this, a basis for attacking our Imams, our leaders, because we are that hardcore approach to practicing the deen.
I just came to my mind when the Prophet ﷺ was returning from Tabuk, and that's a journey that they took 20 days going, and they stayed there some nights and 20 days back, and he said there are people in Medina, who got the same reward like us. حبسهم العذر. They were restrained by the excuse. Very well, Jazakallah khair, put together. May Allah reward you, Dr. Bilal, for this. We know this, but we want to hear it from you. It sounds special, Sheikh, Wallah, when it comes from Dr. Bilal. We love you. I have a sister here who, our local here actually. I know some Islamic schools are involved in usury. Basically, they go and buy buildings. The sister wanted me to ask this question to somebody not from town. I'm from town. So basically, they go and take a usury loan to buy a building for an Islamic school. Is that justified?
No, it's not. It is not. You can't. When the Prophet ﷺ was asked, about a woman in Mecca who used to prostitute herself and give her earnings in charity. He said, better she didn't prostitute herself and not give any charity.
All right. I always like to use this example also of the Arabs rebuilding or raising the foundation of the Kaaba, and they were not yani, Muslims at the time, and they vowed not to use any haram money from prostitution, from usury. And that's why we ended up with Hijr Ismail, you know, that's how Hijr Ismail was, because they didn't have enough halal money.
They ran out.
Okay, yeah, Sheikh, we have these conspiracy theories now going around, and a lot of people associating the COVID-19 with the Dajjal, and Al Mahdi is coming out, and a lot of fabricated stuff is going around, and people making up things. And I think there is Hadith Ibn Mas'ud regarding the smoke. In one of the wording which I verified, Sheikh Tabarani, and it's weak, attributed to Ali ibn Abi Talib, that it's going to be like the Zokam, which is like a flu. So a lot of people are saying this is one of the major signs of the hours, and Dajjal is get, you know, and they are promoting that stuff online and social media. You know, right now there is no line for it. There is no boundaries. What advice do you give to these brothers who circulate that information, that type of information without evidence, and to the people who receive it, and what they do about it?
My general advice to those brothers who are, you know, digging and probing and pulling bits and pieces from here and there and trying to link them together, you know, alayha tis'ata ashar. You know, I saw one where he was showing that it's in the Quran. COVID-19 is in the Quran. You know, please, you know, spare the community, you know, your foolishness. Please spare them that. You know, you're not helping. You know, please.
Can I tell you? I have to tell you this, Sheikh. I have this brother who got into that Sufi ways, you know, extreme Sufi's way, and then his Sheikh is named Kuka. The Sheikh that he follows, and he given him the, you know, the allegiance called Kuka. So he came to me one day and he said, you know what, Karim, we used to go to school together, and I found out that he's like this now. You know what, Karim, my Sheikh is mentioned in the Quran. And I said, wow, where? I memorized, alhamdulillah, where? He said, وَتَرَكُوكَ قَائِمًا. You know the verse, وَتَرَكُوكَ. You know, I'm sorry, just get... Go ahead, Sheikh. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, you know, same thing with people in general. You know, there's so much of this stuff online. Please, you know, don't allow this to mess up your heads, your understandings, your life. Put you in a state of fear and stress and all this. You know, ignore this. You want to read the Quran at this time. This is the times of trial. Read the Quran outside of Ramadan, inside of Ramadan. Read Tafsir Ibn Kathir, which is available in English, or you know Arabic. You know, read it in Arabic, or any of the good, well-known and accepted tafsirs. Read that and get your understanding. Allah will give you insight into dealing with your current situation. But, you know, this idea that these are among the signs of the last day, know that when the signs come, you will be absolutely certain.
Allah.
There will be no, you know, misunderstandings. People, is this a sign or is this not? No. When the sign comes, you will know it. Before Dajjal comes, there will be 3 years of famine on the earth. The Prophet ﷺ told us, you know, in the first year, 1/3 of the earth will be held back from rain. Rain will not fall on 1/3 of the earth. Famine is coming. Second year, 2/3 of the earth. Third year, nowhere on the earth will it rain. Have you ever experienced that? None of us have experienced that nowhere on the earth a raindrop has fallen. No. So know that when the Dajjal is coming, the signs of his coming will be crystal clear. This is my advice.
Jazakallahu khaira, barakallahu fi. Again, it's all about lack of knowledge. Sheikh, I don't want to stretch you, but can you handle another 15 minutes? I know it's getting late there in Addis Ababa. Can we handle another 15 minutes with your permission? I have a lot of people asking.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The question regarding Taraweeh at home, unfortunately, the father doesn't memorize any Quran, or a little bit, but Alhamdulillah, Allah has guided him and blessed him that he sent his son to an Islamic school, or and can the son lead the father in Salah because of his knowledge of the Quran?
Absolutely. This is well known from the time of the Prophet ﷺ. One of the Sahaba narrated that he had gone to the Prophet ﷺ and given bay'ah in a group from his tribe or clan, and they accepted Islam on behalf of the whole clan. The Prophet ﷺ had them stay in Medina, study, and then he sent them back after some time. When they got there, this Sahabi, he narrated that when the time for prayer came, after they'd shown the people about prayer, and the time for prayer now had come, they looked around to see who knew the most Quran. And he said, it turned out to be me. So I led my people from that day onwards. And I was 6 or 7 years old at the time. So, I know there are some madhabs which don't allow children to lead, but actually the evidence from the authentic sunnah support that as long as the child has reached around that same age, 6 or 7, where they know what to do, because of course leading the salah is not just reading Quran. So they should know that, okay, if you pass wind, you have to lead. Because you don't want a kid who is there, it's 4 years old, he's memorized the whole Quran, but he has no idea about passing wind or not passing wind, and he'll lead you without wudu. No, okay. So we know there are some limitations here.
Right. Right.
And this is a circumstance where, as it happened in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, if the father didn't know enough Quran, there's no kids who knows it, even the mother, without standing out in front of everybody else, can lead the salah from behind, as the woman in Medina did in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And he gave permission for her to lead the salah. So, there are a number of options. This is where, of course, the father would not know Quran. That's, for example, he's a new Muslim, right? He's a new Muslim, his wife's a new Muslim, his kids are new Muslims, okay? The whole family has come into Islam. The wife learned more Quran than he did, because he was busy working, she was going to the masjid, she learned Quran. He didn't know enough Quran to lead the salah.
No.
The son doesn't know enough. So that allowance is even there. And this is, of course, extreme circumstances, but the point is that a child can lead in salah up to the age, or down to the age of at least understanding what to do if they make a mistake, etc. Around 6 or 7, that is a fair age that they can lead the prayers. Inshallah.
Just a side note, Dr. Bilal, subhanallah, a lot of Muslims are complaining that they will observe Taraweeh at home. Meanwhile, they don't realize that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam actually observed Taraweeh in some narration 3 nights, 2 nights in the masjid, and he always observed it at home. We understand that it's permissible in the masjid, and actually this is the established sunnah because Umar initiated that, and this is the sunnah of the rightly guided after the Prophet, which Hadith al-Arbad were asked to follow it. So now they are going back and saying, how can we pray Taraweeh at home? When the Prophet ﷺ himself actually observed Taraweeh, and we know why he decided to do that, because he was afraid that it will become mandatory. So can you encourage the community about the subject of Taraweeh at home?
Well, I think fundamentally the community doesn't understand what is Taraweeh. So we have Tahajjud, we have Taraweeh, we have Qiyam. And they understand this as 3 different things, when in fact they are one and the same. Taraweeh is Tahajjud, the name given to Tahajjud when it's prayed in Ramadan. It's been given that name, Taraweeh. And actually, as far as I know, I am unaware of any narration from the Prophet ﷺ in which he referred to the prayers of Tahajjud in Ramadan as Taraweeh. But this was a name given to it later, and it became popular and it became known by that name. But reality is that it is all Tahajjud. And if you know Tahajjud, you can pray Tahajjud at home. Nobody is going to argue that point. So if you pray Tahajjud at home, or you pray Tahajjud in the masjid, or you pray Tahajjud in the last 10 nights, and they call it Qiyam, and the Tahajjud that you pray in the first 20 days of Ramadan, this Tahajjud is prayed right after Isha. And then the one in Qiyam, you go home. Maybe some people even pray the Taraweeh and go home and come back and pray Qiyam, when in fact it's one and the same thing. That actually, it was not the sunnah of the majority of the Sahaba to pray what we call Taraweeh now after Isha, as we are doing. It's the most common practice all over the Muslim world today. But that was not the common practice amongst the Sahaba. Yes, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he used to pray after Isha for fear of missing his tahajjud at night. But the common practice was sleeping after Isha and then waking up to pray Taraweeh or Tahajjud or Qiyam, all one and the same. So I think because people have misunderstood these terminologies, this is when it becomes an issue for them. The Taraweeh is supposed to be in the masjid. No, it's Tahajjud, brother. When you pray it in the masjid or you pray it in your home, it's the same thing.
That's beautiful. Dr. Bilal, we have one last question here. The mass of information out there. What books, and I get this question over and over again, what book or which books do you recommend in English in the subject of Aqidah, in the subject of Tafsir? Because that's where a lot of, the fiqh, mashallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, but those are the two subjects where if you can give a general advice in how to acquire knowledge and in how and where do you go, what do you suggest to somebody who wants knowledge, who want to seek knowledge, who want to become a student of knowledge, someone who want to benefit the ummah with his knowledge, with all these available mediums and platforms and tools and books and literature online, and people are confused. What is your take on this, Sheikh, please?
Well, there are so many possible lists that I would not restrict people to any particular books. But the key is to know where to look. I would say that not simply because I'm the one who founded the Islamic Online University, or now known as the International Open University, that if you go through our list of books, you can pull out from there, or if you go to Medina University and look at their list of books, or you go to Mecca, Al-Qura, or if you went to even Al-Azhar and you look at their basic list of books in various topics, etc., you can pull from their books that you can use as a foundation to study from. If you want it in the simplest fashion, I would advise one who wants to set out in that course to join the Islamic Online University.
Inshallah, I encourage everybody, brothers and sisters in Islam, authentic, first-hand. They are always upgrading, and I call upon you, please. That's the first recommendation I make when I'm asked. Islamic Online University, and you heard it from Dr. Bilal. Go ahead, Sheikh.
It's an easy step, but it's not to say it is the only step. There are, if one wants to go overseas and study Arabic and join any of the well-known universities, that is on another level. But alhamdulillah, the Islamic Online University has brought together scholars from all over the world, who are teaching all of the various subjects. Though I am the founder of the university, I don't teach a majority of the courses there. I teach a few courses, but a number of other scholars. I wanted people to be exposed to scholars from all over the Muslim world, who have gotten the gotten to the sources, and are able to carry that information to the Ummah.
Dr. Bilal, I don't want to finish it, but I know that you need something to drink, you need some water, and you need a break. It's an hour and a half broadcast. You did great. We're not going to let you go unless you promise us that you're going to repeat this, inshallah, more often. Inshallah, you come and address us. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. You cannot imagine your reception here in the US, and I'm talking about Muslims. Alhamdulillah, يعني ثم وضع له القبول في الأرض.
This earlier.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Of course, I was busy with the university, etc. But as I was thinking about doing the session this evening, I was thinking to myself, look all these years that have passed, and we could have been doing this, even if it's once in a month, for how many years? Umpteen years, 10 years since we've been in the Islamic Online University. But anyway, Fadlallah,
Inshallah.
and from here onwards, I am at your service.
Jazakallah khair.
Whether it's once or once every 2 months or whatever, there's no harm in taking aside a couple of hours, or hour and a half or whatever to do a program, share with yourself and the communities. You have been a strong supporter of Islamic Online University. But even if you weren't, even if you were just the Imam of a masjid who we didn't know, and we know your masjid is trying to benefit the community and pass on beneficial knowledge, and you requested of me. Just like today, some brothers from Italy, they're originally, I think, from the Arab world, but they grew up in Italy, whatever. They asked me to join them on one program. Of course, I tried to check their background a little bit, make sure I'm not getting onto a takfiri, group that are going to say, look, here's Dr. Bilal, on the takfiri side. So, of course, I have to check. Before, years ago, I didn't even have to think about this.
Yeah.
But now, I do have to look at invitations
Right.
a little more closely. But, still, these brothers, when I got recommendations from others there from Italy who I know, who say, maybe they're not so this and that, but, they will benefit from you. So, please. So I said, fine.
Jazakallah khairan.
And,
Barakallah.
inshallah, to try to
May Allah
make myself.
May Allah protect you. Stay safe, please. And my special greeting to Omar. Hopefully he's doing okay. I know your offspring in Qatar. I miss him, Omar.
Yeah.
So my salam. And I met Yusuf this time, mashallah. May Allah protect your family, keep you safe and sound. And on behalf of everyone who benefited from this broadcast, I want to say Jazakumullahu khaira, and stay safe, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us, Ya Rab, in the path of obedience, and keep us steadfast on the path of guidance, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Bilal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallah. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. So you had it, everybody. Dr. Bilal Phillips, we enjoyed him and his presence with us. He answered a lot of questions. Inshallah, I will see you again tonight at 8 o'clock. But before I go, please, brothers and sisters in Islam, any help that you can do for our community here, we have that Venmo. We have also the other apps like Muwahid and PayPal, info@ourcmcc.org. We have the GoFundMe also. We want to pay the teachers and the people who are working for the organization. The masajid are locked down, so it's quite difficult to support this initiative without having people like yourself. I understand that a lot of you are maybe affected by this, but if you're able to help us out, may Allah give you Jannah, Rabbil Alameen. Also, we want to let you know that in Ramadan, I will have the live workshop every day, live Ramadan. Please like Islam Way 71, subscribe to that YouTube channel, Straight Path, and Sheikh Karim Facebook page, Imam Karim Abu Zaid. You can search for it this way. Please, in order to keep up with getting information. I will be continuing with the virtual Right Belief series in Ramadan and throughout, inshallah. I want to keep up with this. The way that we do it, brothers and sisters, instead of like half-hour presentation, then we take questions after that, inshallah. Also the Seerah, Know Your Messenger, which is tomorrow, by the way, inshallah. The virtual Know Your Messenger series. Again, you see these YouTube and Facebook signs. That's how you can get to follow us, inshallah. And also I do the last piece here, which is the higher aims of the Quran. We are at Surah Taha now, brothers and sisters in Islam. Surah Taha. All of these are shows, like Dr. Bilal mentioned in his broadcast when he was answering the question regarding advice to the Imams. We're trying to be progressive Imams, and subhanAllah, I found out that these are very good medium to teach the community, inshallah. But please help us stay alive with the financials if you can, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Jazakumullahu khaira. I love you all for the sake of Allah, and I will see you again tonight, inshallah. We're going to have question and answer, 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. That is 7 Pacific, 9 Central, 10 Eastern Standard Time. Until then, brothers and sisters in Islam, I leave you in the care of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.